Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a franchise that started off as a last-ditch effort to make something people will enjoy by Scott Cawthon. If you're clicking on this video, bets are you've heard about FNaF. That being said, bets also are that you don't really understand the current lore. Theories are being thrown around that completely disregard past lore and write new lore, and it's all just so confusing. I'm here to at least try to pull together a full, cohesive, and hopefully comprehensive look into the entire lore, including the books, which has been one of the more notable controversies and more confusing elements of today's lore divide. I'm going to go at this at first in chronological order of the game's releases, going through the lore as we had in each release at the time. I will, from time to time, jump from one thing to another to further clarify an idea or something that can use lore revealed much later to fully understand as a whole. After, I will try and piece together the entire timeline in the actual order of all the most important events, including some of the most confusing aspects, like around when Elizabeth actually had to die. So, stick around. If this is your first time watching the channel, howdy hey! Welcome to Yanky Yazbear's discussion den. If you like today's video, like and subscribe for more like it. Alright, without further ado, let's do this. 5 Nights at Freddy's 1 released in August of 2014. It's an indie horror game where you take the role of the nighttime security guard at a Chuck E. Cheese-like pizzeria named Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. You're tasked with working 5 nights at Freddy's, hence the title of the game. But things aren't as easy as they originally seem. You're met with 5 animatronics: Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and the secret Golden Freddy, who are all coming to
forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit.
The posters on the walls change. Eerie noises are heard resonating through your head. Flashing images suddenly gloss over your eyes. It's clear there aren't any technical difficulties going on here. No, this is something supernatural. Throughout the main game, you're not presented with too much lore other than through your in-game guide, the phone guy.
Hello? Hello? I wanted to record a message for you to help you get settled in on your first night. I actually worked in that office before you. I'm finishing up my last week now, as a matter of fact, so I know it can be a bit overwhelming, but I'm here to tell you there's nothing to worry about. You'll do fine. So let's just focus on getting you through your first week, okay? Let's see. First, there's an introductory greeting from the company that I'm supposed to read. It's kind of a legal thing, you know. Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun come to life. Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or person. Upon discovering that damage or death has occurred, a missing person report will be filed within 90 days or as soon as property and premises have been thoroughly cleaned and bleached and the carpets have been replaced. Blah, blah, blah. Now, that might sound bad, I know, but there's really nothing to worry about. The animatronic characters here do get a bit quirky at night, but do I blame them? No. If I were forced to sing those same stupid songs for 20 years and I never got a bath, I'd probably be a bit irritable at night too. So remember, these characters hold a special place in the hearts of children and we need to show them a little respect, right? Okay. So just be aware, the characters do tend to wander a bit. They're left in some kind of free roaming mode at night. Something about their servos locking up if they get turned off for too long. They used to be allowed to walk around during the day too, but then there was the bite of 87. Yeah, it's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe, you know? Now, concerning your safety, the only real risk to you as a night watchman here, if any, is the fact that these characters, if they happen to see you after hours, probably won't recognize you as a person. They'll most likely see you as a metal endoskeleton without its costume on. Now, since that's against the rules here at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, they'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit. Now, that wouldn't be so bad if the suits themselves weren't filled with cross beams, wires, and animatronic devices, especially around the facial area. So you can imagine how having your head forcibly pressed inside one of those could cause a bit of discomfort and death. The only parts of you that would likely see the light of day again would be your eyeballs and teeth when they pop out the front of the mask. Yeah, they don't tell you these things when you sign up. But hey, first station of the breeze. I'll chat with you tomorrow. Check those cameras and remember to close the doors only if absolutely necessary. Gotta conserve power. Alright, good night.
The phone guy specifically calls out something called the Bite of 87 when referring to something in the past of Fazbear Entertainment. This is something touched on very soon, later on. Though, it almost sounds like he has to specify the year for some reason. There may be more that isn't being said as well. More on that later. Throughout the nights, the animatronics get more and more aggressive, and the phone guy continues telling you about how to handle it. He gives you ideas on how to maybe fend them off if you get caught, but quickly takes it back. Until you reach night 4, when this happens.
Oh, hey, wow, day 4. I knew you could do it. Hey, listen, I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me. I'm kind of glad that I recorded my messages for you when I did. Hey, do me a favor. Maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm going to try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. Yeah, I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there. You know. Oh no.
Phone guy dies during his shift, leaving you alone with the animatronics that only grow in aggression. He brings attention to something in the suits in the back. And the next night, the phone call is replaced with this. At the end of the night, you finally get your paycheck. And later on, you go for some overtime, and after that, you get the pink slip, being fired for tampering with the animatronics and odor? But let's go back to that first paycheck. You've been playing this whole time as someone named Mike Schmidt. The date listed is November 12th of an unknown year, and the FNaF community as a whole has seemed to deem the year as 1993, a year that was originally set by MatPat way back. This, I believe, is not correct. I think to better explain this, I need to draw your attention to this specific video. The 5 Nights at Freddy's lore in only 8 hours, 47 minutes, and 38 seconds by, excuse me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but GB's Horror Homestead. This video was an excellent source of lore, all gathered in one place, that I've used as an inspiration for this video, to add my own ideas, theories, and, of course, updated views to include the books as well. That being said, here's his explanation as to why FNaF 1 is set in 1992.
Based on this information, Mike was making $4 an hour, but that was his take-home money. That doesn't count Social Security or taxes, so he was making more than $4, but not significantly more than $4. In 1990, the minimum wage was raised to $4.25, and in 96, it was raised to $4.75. Also, in 1990, the Social Security tax rate was raised to 6.2% of a paycheck. Medicare was also 1.4%. These have not changed since 1990. That means that 7.65% of your paycheck gets taken out before you see it. So if you take home $120, you actually earned $129.93. That's $4.33 an hour. So the game takes place in November of 1990, 91, 2, 3, 4, or 5. We will be able to pin this date down later. The 5th night is November 12th, the same date as the 5th night in FNaF 1. But now we know for sure that it's 1987, and November 12th, 1987 was a Thursday. That makes the next day Friday the 13th. It also means that weeks at Freddy Fazbear's go Sunday to Thursday, not Monday to Friday. And that makes sense. My job, my real day job, we get paid on Thursdays. A lot of places have the weekend on Friday, but it's not like a hard and fast rule. It's not a law. The assumption was that in FNaF 1, the 5th night was Friday. But it's not, it's Thursday. That makes the 6th night Friday and the 7th Saturday, making the whole week run from Sunday to Saturday. So that means we know that in the original FNaF, we're looking for a year where November 12th is a Thursday, and in 1992, November 12th is a Thursday. And this probably is not some retcon. It makes perfect sense that when Scott was making FNaF 1, he intended the week it took place to have a Friday the 13th. The community thinks that FNaF 1 takes place in 1993 because MatPat said it did. He got that date, 1, assuming that they would get paid on a Friday, and 2, because that's when the real-life shooting took place. This first assumption is just an assumption, and textual evidence from FNaF 2 just completely disproves it, and then the second one is wrong. The reason people say 93 is because MatPat said it 10 years ago and it just stuck.
I highly recommend everyone check out that video as well. It's a long watch, but it's absolutely incredible and an amazing collection of lore. Absolutely worthwhile. Another interesting detail are the posters that change around the pizzeria. They change to be creepy, sure, but some give us some insight on the lore. I will now read all of the news reports that can appear. Kids vanish at local pizzeria. Bodies not found. 2 local children were reportedly lured into a back room during the late hours of operation at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza on the night of June 26th. While video surveillance identified the man responsible and led to his capture the following morning, the children themselves were never found and are presumed dead. Police think that the suspect dressed as a company mascot to earn the children's trust. 5 children now reported missing. Suspect convicted. 5 children are now linked to the incident at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where a man dressed as a cartoon mascot lured them into a back room. While the suspect has been charged, the bodies themselves were never found. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has been fighting an uphill battle ever since to convince families to return to the pizzeria. It's a tragedy. Local pizzeria threatened with shutdown over sanitation. Local pizzeria Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has been threatened again with shutdown by the health department over reports of foul odor coming from the much-loved animal mascots. Police were contacted when parents reportedly noticed what appeared to be blood and mucus around the eyes and mouths of the mascots. One parent likened them to reanimated carcasses. Local pizzeria said to close by year's end. After a long struggle to stay in business after the tragedy that took place there many years ago, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has announced that it will close by year's end. Despite a year-long search for a buyer, companies seem unwilling to be associated with the company. These characters will live on in the hearts of kids. These characters will live on. CEO. Seems the story goes, a killer lured 5 kids away and killed them. The police never finding any bodies, and the suspect apparently gets charged. The animatronics over time somehow have now become possessed with these children's very souls. This incident has become known over time as the Missing Children's Incident, or more commonly as the MCI within the community. And just for a moment, let me jump ahead. Within the first Fazbear Frights book, and as of now upcoming game, Into the Pit, this book gives us the exact date of when the MCI happened, giving us the date of June 26, 1985. It seems this is the most accurate date we have, so assuming this year is true, we will stick by it. And we will go back to this later on when we have more context. Okay, so the first game in the series didn't have all that much lore in retrospect, but it certainly set the scene for... Five Nights at Freddy's 2 released November of 2014, only a few months after the first. Before the release, we got a few teasers showing off the new mechanics and animatronics. You are, again, brought into the role of a security guard. This time, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has been remodeled and reopened, and you are working the grand reopening. The difference here being there are no more doors. Instead, you have 2 vents on either side of you, a large hallway in front of you, a Freddy mask, and a flashlight. Along with the building, the animatronics have also been remade. The new animatronics, the toys. Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, and Toy Chica. And Foxy is now Mangle, the pull-apart, put-together version of the loved fox. Along with them, there are also a few more new additions. With them, we have the Puppet and Balloon Boy. And in rare instances, we can see JJ, Shadow Freddy, and Arbuzskividiveska, also known as RXQ or Shadow Bonnie. For the sake of knowing how to say things, I'm going to be calling him Shadow Bonnie. The first night begins and we get another phone call. This time we get... Phone Guy! Wait, didn't he die? Well, this detail tells us, first off, that this game does not actually take place after the first game. This is a prequel, despite the many red herrings it throws at us. Having this in mind, have a listen to the first phone call.
Hello? Hello? Hello and welcome to your new summer job at the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I'm here to talk you through some of the things you can expect to see during your first week here and to help you get started down this new and exciting career path. Now, I want you to forget anything you may have heard about the old locations, you know. Some people still have a somewhat negative impression of the company. That old restaurant was kind of left to rot for quite a while, but I want to reassure you, Fazbear Entertainment is committed to family fun and above all, safety. They've spent a small fortune on these new animatronics. Facial recognition, advanced mobility, they even let them walk around during the day. Isn't that neat? But most importantly, they're all tied into some kind of criminal database so they can detect a predator a mile away. Heck, we should be paying them to guard you. Now, that being said, no new system is without its kinks. You're only the second guard to work at that location. The first guy finished his week but complained about conditions. We switched him over to the day shift. So, hey, lucky you, right? Mainly he expressed concern that certain characters seemed to move around at night and even attempted to get into his office. Now, from what we know, that should be impossible. That restaurant should be the safest place on Earth. So while our engineers don't really have an explanation for this, the working theory is that the robots were never given a proper night mode. So when it gets quiet, they think they're in the wrong room. So then they go try to find where the people are, and in this case, that's your office. So our temporary solution is this. There's a music box over by the prize counter, and it's rigged to be wound up remotely. So just every once in a while, switch over to the prize counter video feed and wind it up for a few seconds. It doesn't seem to affect all of the animatronics, but it does affect one of them. And as for the rest of them, we have an even easier solution. You see, there may be a minor glitch in the system, something about robots seeing you as an endoskeleton without a costume on and wanting to stuff you into a suit. So hey, we've given you an empty Freddy Fazbear head. Problem solved. You can put it on any time and leave it on for as long as you want. Eventually, anything that wandered in will wander back out. Something else worth mentioning is kind of the quirky modern design of the building. You may have noticed there are no doors for you to close. But hey, you have a light, and even though your flashlight can run out of power, the building cannot. So don't worry about the place going dark. Well, I think that's it. You should be golden. Check the lights, put on the Freddy head if you need to. Keep the music box wound up. Piece of cake. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
What we gathered from this phone call was that this isn't just the location before the first game. There was at least one other before this one too. Also, to clear up any confusion in the future, Phone Guy saying that you're here for the new summer job, that's not true, and that can be chalked up to a simple typo. Or if you want it to still be in the canon, maybe it's just Phone Guy's weird sense of humor. I don't know. Anyway, the first night. You have to use the mask for any animatronics trying to get into the office, and to see down the hall in front of you, you have to use your flashlight. Along with this, you're forced to look at the cameras to wind up the music box to keep the puppet at bay. Like usual, the first night goes smoothly, and afterwards, you return for the second night.
Hello? See, I told you your first night wouldn't be a problem. You're a natural. By now I'm sure you've noticed the older models sitting in the back room. Those are from the previous location, and we just use them for parts now. The idea at first was to repair them. They even started retrofitting them with some of the newer technology, but they were just so ugly, you know, and the smell. So the company decided to just go in a whole new direction and make them super kid-friendly. Those older ones shouldn't be able to walk around, but if they do, the whole Freddy head trick should work on them too, so whatever. I love those old characters. Did you ever see Foxy the Pirate? Oh wait, Foxy. Oh yeah, Foxy. Hey listen, that one was always a bit twitchy. I'm not sure if the Freddy head trick will work on Foxy. If for some reason he activates during the night, and you see him standing at the far end of the hall, just flash your light at him from time to time. Those older models would always get disoriented with bright light. It would cause a system restart or something. Come to think of it, you might want to try that on any room where something undesirable might be. It might hold him in place for a few seconds. That glitch might have carried over to the newer models too. One more thing. Don't forget the music box. I'll be honest, I never liked that puppet thing. It's always thinking, and it can go anywhere. I don't think the Freddy mask will fool it, so just don't forget the music box. Anyway, I'm sure it won't be a problem. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yep, you heard right. There's more animatronics here. The withered animatronics now attack. Coming through the vents and the hallway, withered Freddy, withered Bonnie, withered Chica, and withered Foxy. They tend to take more of the lead in the following nights, the toys almost being pushed aside for these old and ugly animatronics. Withered Foxy acts a little differently than the rest though, having to flash him away using the flashlight. All you have to do is keep him away, as he doesn't like bright lights. The next few nights go relatively the same other than the phone calls that are given to us at the beginning of each night. But before we get to that, there's one last thing I need to mention. After dying, there's a chance you get a death minigame. These are Atari-style games you can play that depict certain events throughout the real past. I'm real quick just going to go through each of these minigames. Go Foxy Go is a minigame where you play as Foxy. He runs out of Pirate's Cove to a group of 5 children, and after doing this a couple times, a purple figure appears standing nearby, smiling. Going over to the other side of the screen shows us 5 dead children depicting the MCI. And then we get a Foxy jump scare. Take cake to the children. You play as Freddy Fazbear taking cake to hungry children. You just walk around the small building handing it out as they shout for more. Outside, though, a child is shown crying, and a purple car pulls up. The purple man gets out of the car and kills the child, driving off. After this, we get the puppet's jump scare, and in the background audio, letters spell out the words, "Save him." What we saw is how the puppet dies, though later this child will be known as Charlie, a girl, so we can be certain this has been something retconned in future games and not an issue in logic. Just wanted to bring that up now. Give gifts, give life. We see the puppet once again with 4 dead bodies surrounding it. It goes around attempting to do what it usually does best and gives them gifts. After this does nothing, it goes around once again, giving them life, placing each animatronic head over the bodies. It's unclear if this means the puppet stuffed the bodies into the suits or if it's just the puppets giving them the life from within the suits, but what is for sure is that the souls take control of the animatronics due to this. After the final head is placed, for a split second, we see a 5th body, and then Golden Freddy jump scares us. This is the final soul, the one in Golden Freddy. And looking back, this could imply that, like the puppet, Golden Freddy didn't need someone to give it life, but it was already sentient on its own. And once again, in the audio, letters are spelling out the words, help them. Save them. The last minigame. Here you play as Freddy, following the puppet around the FNaF 2 location. All around it, you can find bodies littering the floor, 5 in total. And along with this, there are 6 bloodstains. And before talking about what's next, there's also a very rare chance you get Purple Guy chasing after you, something in his hands, ending the minigame early. But, dear friends, this is not the MCI. This is something completely different. One detail I've left out so far are the cutscenes we get in between each night. You see, we're Freddy on stage, but not at the FNaF 2 location. This is the location from FNaF 1. So, what's going on? Are we seeing the future? No, we're not. This was the previous location that shut down, that we hear about in FNaF 2. The location of the MCI. This would imply that the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was the location we're in during FNaF 1. After the MCI, they shut it down, and then FNaF 2 happens soon after. After FNaF 2 takes place, we go back into the FNaF 1 location as Mike. I think it's also very heavily implied that both locations existed at the same time, and very possibly even opened alongside each other. The reason I'm bringing this up is, I believe that the deaths we see in FNaF 2 were failures. They were experiments to try and replicate the 2 lives that had possessed the puppet and Golden Freddy. This is known by the fans as the Dead Children Incident, or the DCI. And the way it seems to go so far in the timeline is, the puppet and Golden Freddy die in a previous establishment. The Purple Guy catches on to there being actual souls in them and attempts to try again, not understanding and just leaving the bodies in the building, thinking that's enough. It fails, and nothing comes out of it, other than possibly the mangle. Afterwards, he goes to the other location, further experimenting. He inflicts the MCI there, most likely now stuffing the bodies into the empty suits of the animatronics, and, for some reason this time, it works. He grows ever curious. Finally, this means we can now return to the gameplay. I know. The rest of the nights mainly go as usual, though the phone calls from Phone Guy get way more interesting.
Hello? See, I told you wouldn't have any problems. Did, Foxy ever appear in the hallway? Probably not. I was just curious. Like I said, he was always my favorite. They tried to remake Foxy, you know? They thought the first one was too scary, so they redesigned him to be more kid-friendly and put him in Kids Cove to keep the toddlers entertained, you know. But kids these days just can't keep their hands to themselves. The staff literally had to put Foxy back together at the end of every shift. Eventually, they just stopped trying and left him in some kind of take-apart, put-back-together attraction. Now he's just a mess of parts. I think the employees refer to him as just the mangle. Hey, before I go, I wanted to ease your mind about any rumors you might have heard lately. You know how these local stories come and go and seldom mean anything. I can personally assure you that whatever is going on out there, however tragic it may be, has nothing to do with our establishment. It's just all rumor and speculation, people trying to make a buck, you know. Our guard during the day has reported nothing unusual, and he's on watch from opening till close. Okay, well anyway, hang in there and I'll talk with you tomorrow.
Phone Guy gives us some info about there being rumors being spread around. Tragic rumors. It's unclear what this is, but it seems to refer to something not happening in this building itself, possibly something regarding the investigation and closing of the other location. It shouldn't affect here, right?
Hello. Hey there, Night 4. I told you to get the hang of it. Okay, so just to update you, there's been somewhat of an investigation going on. We may end up having to close for a few days. I don't know. I want to emphasize, though, that it's really just a precaution. Fazbear Entertainment denies any wrongdoing. These things happen sometimes. It'll all get sorted out in a few days. Just keep an eye on things, and I'll keep you posted. Just as a side note, though, Try to avoid eye contact with any of the animatronics side if you can. Someone may have tampered with their facial recognition systems. We're not sure. But the characters have been acting very unusual, almost aggressive toward the staff. They interact with the kids just fine, but when they encounter an adult, they just stare. Anyway, hang tight, it'll all pass. Good night.
Well, it seems the investigation has been moved here now. Something has happened. Maybe with a previous employee they don't want around. The same reason the toys have implemented features to detect criminals. There's somebody that they don't want here, and they think he could come here. And maybe even has recently. The animatronics suddenly are more aggressive. Their facial recognition not working properly. Was he here? Did he tamper with them to get by for some reason?
Oh, hey, good job, night 5. Hey, keep a close eye on things tonight, okay? From what I understand, the building is on lockdown. No one is allowed in or out, especially concerning any previous employees. When we get it all sorted out, we may move you to the day shift. A position just became available. We don't have a replacement for your shift yet, but we're working on it. We're going to try to contact the original restaurant owner. I think the name of the place was Fazbear's Family Diner or something like that. It was closed for years, though. I doubt we'll be able to track anybody down. So just get through one more night. Hang in there. Good night.
Here, he directly mentions past employees being not allowed in the building, which, at the moment, has been put into lockdown. They mention trying to contact the owner of the original restaurant named Fazbear's Family Diner. This is the establishment both the Puppet and Golden Freddy would have died in, and where I personally believe was the origin of the withered animatronics, further cementing the timeline of events discussed before. You'd be working the day shift soon, switching away from the nights. You get your paycheck after the night ends, and finally we get to see who you are and when this game takes place. You are Jeremy Fitzgerald, working November 12th, 1987, and you decide to go back for overtime.
Hello. What on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo? The place is closed down, at least for a while. Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right. Listen, just finish your shift. It's safer than trying to leave in the middle of the night. We have one more event scheduled for tomorrow, a birthday. You'll be on day shift. Wear your uniform. Stay close to the animatronics and make sure they don't hurt anyone, okay? For now, just make it through the night. When the place eventually opens again, I'll probably take the night shift myself. Okay, good night and good luck.
Somebody used a yellow suit in the back, and now the animatronics are acting all wrong. During this night, we get one final threat, Golden Freddy, who's acting just as supernatural as he always seems to be. You're tasked with working a birthday during the day shift the next day, the final birthday in this location, in 1987. And if this doesn't ring any alarm bells here, let me do it for you. You are not only playing as Jeremy, but the victim of the bite of 87. You work the last day the location is open to the public. One more day and you would have been free. You could have quit, but they needed you there. And because of that, you fell victim to your frontal lobe being lost. The bite happened during the morning of Saturday, November 14th, 1987. It's not known which animatronic did the bite, but the main theories consider either Toy Chica or the Mangle. We know the bite happened because it's the last possible day that it could have happened. Jeremy would have been working the day shift and been close to the animatronics, making sure they don't hurt anybody. But in the end, it was all at a loss. The one keeping everybody safe was the one who eventually had to die. With the paycheck, we also get a newspaper clipping. I will read that now. Robots scrapped. Freddy Fazbear's is closing. After being open only a few short weeks, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is closing its doors. The new animatronics will be scrapped due to possible malfunctions. However, the original characters are being kept in hopes of a possible reorganization of the company. It's a minor setback. We are confident that we will reopen someday, even if it is with a much smaller budget. CEO, Fazbear Entertainment. Freddy's is closing. The new animatronics scrapped and kept for later. One more day of being open, one more birthday, one that forever leaves a dark stain on the company. The next night shift, you're back. There's no phone call or anything, but when you finish, you get a pink slip. This time revealing the name Fritz Smith. Fired on your first day for tampering with animatronics and odor once again. And with that, brings us to all that was in FNaF 2, with even more being cleared up in the near future. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 released March of 2015. Before the release, though, came more teasers for the game. There were a few, the most memorable in my opinion being the I Am Still Here teaser image, with a golden animatronic on the right side. At the time, many thought this was a realistic golden Freddy. I mean, who else could this be? Something that spawned from this were the many fake rumors around it, such as a FNaF theme park game, or a free roam FNaF game that takes place in Freddy's Mall. That couldn't happen, that's way too ambitious. Another very memorable non-teaser image is from an old Scott Steam post. This may look normal at first, but if you look in between the letters, you see different typos in the writing that spell out, "My name is Springtrap." Our very first reveal of our new animatronic's name, who the fanbase had previously coined Salvage. Of course, soon after this, the game was released to the fans. We suddenly realized this isn't a normal Freddy's location. We work as a night guard yet again, but this time in a Freddy Fazbear themed horror attraction, banking off all those old child murder and disappearance rumors. Ooh, let that money flow in. The first night goes just as smooth as usual. Actually, much smoother. There's no threats at all on the first night, but what there is a brand new phone guy for us to listen to. The fan base, ever with their creative names, called him Phone Dude. Groundbreaking. But before we listen to that, there's one big pressing issue I want to cover before anything else. The date that this game takes place. More specifically, the year. FNaF fans seem to be sure that FNaF 3 takes place in 2023. But I disagree. The main people think this is the Steam summary of the game. 30 years after Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closed its doors, the events that took place there have become nothing more than a rumor and a childhood memory. But the owners of Fazbear's Fright, the horror attraction, are determined to revive the legend and make the experience as authentic as possible for patrons, going to great lengths to find anything that might have survived decades of neglect and ruin. At first, there were only empty shells, a hand, a hook, an old paper plate doll, but then a remarkable discovery was made. The attraction now has one animatronic. The main issue was the 30 years in the first sentence. 30 years after what, exactly? Well, it seems to say that it's 30 years after Freddy Fazbear's Pizzas closed its doors, and that there were events that took place with childhood memories, and it had rumors and all that. FNaF fans seem to think FNaF 1, which they thought took place in 1993, with my belief of FNaF 1 being in 1992, that'd be in 2022, but I don't think that at all. If I'm to read into what this is saying, it's a location that has had multiple events, and it's after the doors close. FNaF 1 takes place in 1992, by my belief, and from the looks of things, seems like it's already been abandoned long ago, so crossed off. FNaF 2, let's see. FNaF 2 would have the DCI, and also would have the bite of 87 closing its stores soon after. The only issue would be that we worked on the grand reopening of the location, which was only open a few weeks, so not much childhood memory going on there. It could be, but I don't believe it would fit quite as well. But if the location originally closed, it could have been for their DCI and then the other location's MCI, which 30 years after the MCI would have taken place would make it 2015, the year the game was also released. It would make much more sense than Scott pushing the game into the near future. So with this, I believe after the MCI happened, Freddy's was shut down. 30 years after that, I believe the game's year is set in 2015, which sets the scene for the first night's phone call. I'll let that play now.
Hey, glad you came back for another night. I promise it'll be a lot more interesting this time. We found some great new relics over the weekend, and we're out tracking down a new lead right now. So, let me just update you real quick, then you can get to work. Like, the attraction opens in like a week, so we have to make sure everything works and nothing catches on fire. When the place opens, people will come in at the opposite end of the building and work their way toward you, then past you and out the exit. Yeah, you've officially become part of the attraction. You'll be starring as the security guard. So not only will you be monitoring the people on the camera as they pass through, to make sure no one steals anything or makes out in the corner, but you'll also be a part of the show. It'll make it feel really authentic, I think. Now let me tell you about what's new. We found another set of drawings, always nice, and a foxy head, which we think could be authentic. Then again, it might just be another crappy cosplay. And we found a desk fan, very old school, metal though. So watch the fingers. Right now the place is basically just, flashing lights and spooky props. I honestly thought we'd have more by now. If we don't have something really cool by next week, then we may have to suit you up in a furry suit and make you walk around saying, boo. But, like I said, we're trying to track down a good lead right now. Some guy who helped design one of the buildings says it was like an extra room that got boarded up, or something like that. So we're going to take a peek and see what we can find. For now, just get comfortable with the new setup. You can check the security cameras over to your right with the click of that blue button. You can toggle between the hall cams and the vent cams. Then over to your far left, you can flip up your maintenance panel. Use this to reboot any systems that may go offline. In trying to make the place feel vintage, we may have overdone it a bit. Some of this equipment is barely functional. Yeah, I wasn't joking about the fire. That's a real risk. The most important thing you want to watch for is the ventilation. Look, this place will give you the spooks, man, and if you let that ventilation go offline, then you'll start seeing some crazy stuff, man. Keep that air flowing. Okay, keep an eye on things, and we'll try to have something new for you tomorrow night.
Basically, just keep it running. You have a few different things to look at. Firstly, your cameras. You have some room cameras to look over throughout the building, the usual, in which you can use an audio cue, which plays a sound clip of Balloon Boy. We also have our next option, vent cameras. With this, we can switch cameras and look over the vents, which each can be closed via the cameras. Our third monitor on the left has different things we'll need to fix over the nights. This includes audio, visual, and our ventilation. Let the ventilation go down, and that's when some issues really begin to start. The less air coming through means the more hallucinating that will happen. These hallucinations come in the form of past animatronics, the Phantoms. Phantom Freddy, Phantom Chica, Phantom Foxy, Phantom Balloon Boy, Phantom Puppet, and Phantom Mangle. Phantom Freddy walks past your office window. Phantom Chica is in an arcade cabinet on Cam 7. Phantom Foxy stays on your left side. Phantom BB can appear on your cameras. Phantom Puppet is seen on Cam 8, and Phantom Mangle can be seen on Cam 4. These eventually, if not avoided, can lead to jump scares that shut off certain things that you may need to fix. But they don't kill the player. So the first night should go pretty smoothly. Maybe 1 or 2 jump scares from a Phantom, most likely BB. After the first night ends, you move on to the next, but we'll come back to this night later on though. After this night ends, you're presented with an 8-bit minigame. You play as Freddy, going through what appears to be the location from the first game, FNaF 1. You explore the pizzeria, following Shadow Freddy, who tells you to follow me. Doing this leads you to a room that you can't enter as the animatronic, glitching against it with an error pop-up. The moment you try to leave, a purple man jumps out of the room and disassembles you, leading you into the next night. The second night introduces our one and only real threat of this game, Springtrap. Here is the phone call for night 2.
Hey man, okay, I have some awesome news for you. First of all, we found some vintage audio training cassettes. Dude, these are like prehistoric. I think they were like training tapes for like other employees or something like that. So I thought we could like have them playing like over the speakers as people walk through the attraction. Dude, that makes us feel legit, man. But I have an even better surprise for you. You're not gonna believe this. We found one. A real one. Gotta go, man. Well look, it's in there somewhere. I'm sure you'll see it. Okay, I'll leave you with some of this great audio that I found. Talk to you later, man. Hello? Welcome to your new career as a performer/entertainer for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. These tapes will provide you with much-needed information on how to handle/climb into/climb out of mascot costumes. Right now, we have 2 specially designed suits that double as both animatronic and suit. So please pay close attention while learning how to operate these suits, as accidents/injuries/deaths/irreparable and grotesque maiming can occur. First, we will discuss how to operate the mascots when they are in animatronic form. For ease of operation, the animatronics are set to turn and walk towards sound cues. This is an easy and hands-free approach to making sure the animatronics stay where the children are for maximum entertainment/crowd-pleasing value. To change the animatronics to suit mode, insert and turn firmly the hand crank provided by the manufacturer. Turning the crank will recoil and compress the animatronic parts around the sides of the suit, providing room to climb inside. Please make sure the spring locks are fastened tight to ensure the animatronic devices remain fixed. We will cover this in more detail in tomorrow's session. Remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Short and sweet. No real new info to be had. He leaves us early on and has us listen to an old audio tape from the original phone guy. He talks about springlock suits, which seem to predate other suits we've seen in the game so far, being wearable suits of the mascots. As said before, this night was the first night you're pitted against Springtrap, a yellow-green decaying bunny animatronic that the owners found somewhere. He can roam around, crawl through vents, and sneak up on you easily. After that night, simple again, you get to night 3. Most of the nights now consist of the same gameplay loop with a little bit of added difficulty, so I'll just go over the calls if there's important info to be said, and the minigames. After this night, again, speaking of, you're presented with another minigame. This time, Bonnie, who goes through the exact same process as Freddy before, being disassembled by Purple Guy.
Hello. For today's lesson, we will be continuing our training on proper suit handling techniques. When using an animatronic as a suit, please ensure that the animatronic parts are tightly compressed and fastened by the spring locks located around the inside of the suit. It may take a few moments to position your head and torso between these parts in a manner where you can move and speak. Try not to nudge or press against any of the spring locks inside the suit. Do not touch the spring locks at any time. Do not breathe on the spring locks, as moisture may loosen them and cause them to break loose. In the case that the spring locks come loose while you are wearing a suit, please try to maneuver away from populated areas before bleeding out, as to not ruin the customer experience. As always, if there is ever an emergency, please go to the designated safe room. Every location is built with one extra room that is not included in the digital map layouts programmed into the animatronics or security suits. This room is hidden to customers, invisible to animatronics, and is always off camera. As always, remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
What we gather here is actually a lot. These old suits are very finicky, and any wrong breath or spit or Moisture or anything can cause these mechanisms to break loose and snap out into the wearer, being told to move away into a safe room to pretty much die, so customers can have their fun Freddy's experience otherwise. These safe rooms are in every Freddy location and not on any of the cameras, hidden away from both the player and from the AI of all the animatronics themselves, not programmed to even know it exists at all. Another nightly minigame follows the night. The same, but this time with Chica. Moving on to night 4.
Hello. There's been a slight change of company policy concerning use of the suit. Don't. After learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suit temporarily unfit for employees. Safety is top priority at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is why the classic suits are being retired to an appropriate location while being looked at by our technicians. Until replacements arrive, you will be expected to wear the temporary costumes provided to you. Keep in mind that they were found on very short notice, so questions about appropriateness/relevance should be deflected. I repeat, the classic suits are not to be touched, activated, or worn. That being said, we are free of liability. Do as you wish. As always, remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Basically, the suits were gotten rid of, not to be used anymore after a few deaths occurred at a different location. Another nightly minigame occurs, the same but with Foxy. Can you tell that this game gets repetitive?
Hello. This is just a reminder of company policy concerning the safe room. The safe room is reserved for equipment and/or other property not being currently used and as a backup safety location for employees only. This is not a break room, should not be considered a place for employees to hide and/or congregate, and under no circumstance should a customer ever be taken into this room and out of the main show area. Management has also been made aware that the Spring Bonnie animatronic has been noticeably moved and would like to remind employees that this costume is not safe to wear under any circumstances. Thank you, and remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Night 5. This tells us that the Spring Bonnie suit had been moved out of the safe room, almost resembling a certain golden rabbit we see moving around our very location. After completing this night, you get sent into another minigame like the others, though it's a little different. You play as a black and white ghost, a crying child. You follow the same pathway into the room and you're now able to enter as the ghost. Inside is 4 other ghost children, Purple Guy, and a slumped over yellow rabbit suit. You give chase to Purple Guy, letting him run around the room before he eventually gets inside the suit. You can hear the rain outside pouring down, the water leaking into the old building. He laughs, not realizing that the moisture has already made it much too late for him. The spring locks activate and pierce him, the blood spills out, and the game only ends when he falls to the ground, stopping his movement. Quick editor's note after the fact of making this, I seem to completely neglect the fact of a very important thing here. We have the 4 ghost children covering the entrance and the one chasing Purple Guy into the Springlock suit. This clearly is showing the ghost of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, with us playing as the ghost of Golden Freddy. This becomes much more important later on. I had to come back and say it. Please enjoy the rest of the video. I'm gonna keep editing this now. After this, you're rewarded with one of 2 endings that the game has. The one I have explained until this point gets you the bad ending. The animatronic heads with the lights still on and their souls still present.
Hello. This is just to inform all employees that due to budget restrictions, the previously mentioned safe rooms are being sealed at most locations, including this one. Work crews will be here most of the day today, constructing a false wall over the old door face. Nothing is being taken out beforehand, so if you left anything inside, then it's your own fault. Management also requests that this room not be mentioned to family, friends, or insurance representatives. Thanks again, and remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Night 6, also known as Nightmare Mode. All safe rooms are to be immediately boarded up, hidden away, and not to be mentioned. Upon completing Nightmare, the player receives the newspaper that says Fazbear's Fright has burned down overnight because of the faulty wiring in the building. It was also stated in the newspaper that the items that remained were sold for public auction. Brightening this newspaper reveals that Springtrap survived the fire. He's seen in the background behind a Freddy Fazbear figurine. After all of this, you may be wondering, how are you supposed to get the good ending? Well, that involves going back through every single night, using clues you find throughout all the nightly minigames. You see, in each there's a clue as to what you need to do during each night, and using each of these clues, you have to do a variety of weird things in the main game to find other minigames. Firstly, on night 1, you need to double-click this drawing of Balloon Boy to find BB's Air Adventure, in which you just need to collect all the balloons and exit. Though, after collecting them all, one still remains. For some reason, you need to find out you can jump out of this box and fall like this to collect the final balloon and leave. After this, on night 2, you go to Cam 7 and click the buttons on the arcade cabinet in this specific order. Top left, top right, bottom right, to open Mangle's quest. Here, you collect your parts, and again, jump out of the box. You fall, seeing an interesting figure of the puppet crying, which you go past. You climb up the balloons, which you got from BB, and collect the cake. Night 3, you have to collect different cupcakes spread around the location, which opens Chica's party. Jumping out of the box, you go up the balloons and give the cake to this crying child. Now on to night 4. This is the one I always see and wonder how we figured this out. On the wall is a keypad in which you have to enter the code 39524. You're met with Stage 01, where you play as Fredbear. After this, you go through a series of wall jumps, which don't even get me started. I'm not going to be going through it because it is complicated, and how did we figure this out? Anyway, this leads to another crying child, which we give another cake to. Also, during this same night, you return to BB's Air Adventure to give cake to the crying child in this minigame as well, which you can now access due to the balloons. In night 5, you click the Shadow Bonnie figure that has appeared on your desk, which leads you to the Shadow version of Stage 1. By clicking S on your keyboard, you can cycle through maps, needing to get to the one with the crying child present. And then, of course, you give them cake. After this, the last thing to do is to click this poster, which leads you into Happiest Day. You're playing as the puppet, passing masked children with different birthday cakes, and at the end there are 4 kids wearing masks of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, standing before an unmasked crying child. You give the child a final cake, who then dons a golden Freddy mask before the souls disappear and fall slowly to the ground, the puppet falling slightly slower than the others, while the 6 balloons above them rise away, almost as if it's symbolizing the souls. With this, Happiest Day is the day their souls finally get to rest in peace. You spring lock Purple Guy one more time, and you get the good ending. The animatronic heads are still and lightless in peace. The only problem is, this ending most likely isn't canon. We see in future games that the souls are definitely still present, though that's not to say Happiest Day never happens. Happiest Day does still occur much later in the series, so we won't be covering it for a while. But keep that in the back of your head for now, at least the concept. And with this, we can finally discuss the lore of the actual nights. The animatronic we face nightly, Springtrap, as you've probably already figured out, is the actual killer we've been chasing the whole time. A rotting corpse is seen within the moldy animatronic shell, stuck forever in the prison of torment. Purple Guy is alive and kicking, possessing the suit with a fierce agony that corrupted him. With this, the person you play as during the nights has hallucinations of the past animatronics as phantoms. and this would only make sense if who we play as was also present for those as well, meaning the person we most likely play as in this game is our very own Mike, again. So with this, our canon ending and summary of FNAF 3. In 2015, a Fazbear's Fright location opened. Mike saw this and took up the job. Soon after, they find Springtrap rotting away in a back room after years and years, trapped behind the boarded up hidden away room, which was brought up by Phone Guy. They brought him here and Mike fends him off, trying to give the children their happiest day, but he's unsuccessful, leading him to attempt to burn the building down, hoping it would stop the killer in his tracks. But it fails to. Springtrap surviving the fire, hidden in the background of the ending newspaper, ready to kill again. Five Nights at Freddy's 4, released in July of 2015, was massive. It'd been led up by tons of teasers with multiple animatronics with nightmarishly large features asking, was it me? This was shaping up to be the scariest game yet. And when the trailer had finally dropped, people got to see it took place in a house. You seem to be playing as a child, staying up late in your bedroom. With multiple threats coming for you, you need to shut doors, flashlights, and listen close for breathing. Threats: Nightmare Bonnie, Nightmare Chica, Nightmare Foxy, Nightmare Freddy, and his Freddles are the worries you need to face. Bonnie comes from the left side, while Chica goes to the right. A strange callback to the original game. With this, Freddy comes from your bed behind you, and Foxy enters your closet in front of you. But upon opening the game, this isn't exactly what we open on. When clicking New Game, you're greeted by an 8-bit minigame. 5 days until the party. You're playing as a crying child, whom I'll refer to from this point on as Cece. A yellow bear speaks to you.
What did he do this time? He locked you in your room again. Do not be scared. I am here with you.
These are my friends.
You fall against the door, crying. Tomorrow is another day. You begin the first night. This night only having Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy. After completing this night, you return to that same 8-bit minigame style. 4 days until the party.
You know he is hiding again. He won't stop until you find him. Over there.
This time, the door is open. Someone who is presumably our brother jumps out and scares us, wearing the head of Foxy. We again drop in fear and cry. Tomorrow is another day. After completing this, you're not just done. No. No, you have to have some more fun. Some fun with Plush Trap. Plush Trap's minigame is one where you have to have some stakes attached. Win, and you get 2 hours taken off your night. Lose, and, well, you just lose. You have to stop Plush Trap on the X in front of you on the ground using your flashlight. Nothing more than just a fun minigame before your next night. The second night introduces Foxy to the mix, so make sure to watch your closet. After the night, again, the next minigame. 3 days until the party.
He left without you. He knows that you hate it here. You are right beside the exit. If you run, you can make it. Hurry, run toward the exit. It's too late. Hurry the other way and find someone who will help. You know what will happen if he catches you. You can find help if you can get past them. You have to be strong.
Tomorrow is another day. With this, we gather that we might have seen something we shouldn't have seen. Interesting. Skipping straight to the next minigame now, since nothing in the night has changed. 2 days until the party.
He hates you. You have to get up. You can get out this time, but you have to hurry.
Where is your plush toy? Mine is Spring Bonnie. My daddy says I have to be careful with him or I will pinch my finger. He is a finger trap, he says.
No, don't you remember what you saw? The exit is the other way. Hurry and leave.
You'd better watch out. I hear they come to life at night. And if you die, they hide your body and never tell anyone. Why do you look so worried? See you at the party.
Aren't you the kid who always hides under the table and cries? No one else is scared. Why are you? Stop being such a baby.
Are you going to the party? Everyone else is going to the party. Oh wait, you have to go. It's your birthday.
Be careful.
Tomorrow is another day. In this minigame, we're able to go up to the TV and hit enter, turning it on, revealing a TV show or commercial for Fredbear and Friends 1983. And with this, finally, we have the game's year, 1983. You can also enter your sister's room, a bright pink room with a mango plush laid out on the floor. One day until the party.
Please, let me out. Please. Please let me out.
This time, tomorrow is another day is never said. We're left crying in the parts and service room, alone. Some people say and think this little tuft inside Fredbear is a kid's head, though I don't think so. I believe this might have been one of the things Scott meant when he'd said, "What is seen in shadows that is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child." It appears to be a child's head and hair, but in reality, I think it's really just wires. I know personally as a kid, my grandparents had a life-sized cardboard cutout of Freddy Krueger in their closet. And let me tell you, you would not catch me anywhere near that thing. I straight up thought Freddy Krueger was real for a solid few years. But never mind that. Cece collapses once again. One day until his birthday party. Night 5 begins, and this time you're greeted by a completely different threat. The final boss. Nightmare Fredbear greets you. Able to be in any side of the hallway, the closet, and on the bed behind you, only revealed by his deep, sinister laughs. Upon beating this night, it leads you to the final minigame. 0 days until the party. The day finally arrives. Wow, your brother is kind of a baby, isn't he? It's hilarious. Why don't we help him get a closer look? You will love it.
No, please.
Come on, guys. Let's give this little man a lift. He wants to get up close and personal.
No, I don't want to go.
You heard the little man. He wants to get even closer. Hey guys, I think the little man said he wants to give Fredbear a big kiss. On 3. 1, 2.
Was that the bite?
Yeah, wait. Before you finish that sentence, Markiplier, I have to tell you, no, that's not the bite of 87, that is the bite of 83. Just like Scott to give us an entire game of red herrings, marketing using "Was It Me" and having the numbers 87 constantly through the source code of the teaser images, but nope! 83. 83. Night 6 starts like nights 1 through 4, the animatronics active again, at least until the last few hours, in which they disappear entirely. Nightmare Fredbear once again making his appearance to end off the night. Finishing this, you see Cece sitting in a spotlight with his plushies. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. I'm sorry. You're broken. We are still your friends. Do you still believe that? I'm still here. I will put you back together. A flat line in the background is heard, faintly. Before we reach the final night, yes, there's one more still, I want to go over some secrets and bits of lore. Throughout the nights, there's chances of different items that can spawn on your nightstand. A vase of flowers, medication, and an IV bag. There is a rare chance for a reversed and low-pitched version of Phone Guy's Night 1 phone call from FNaF 1 to be heard as a background ambience track. That can't be right, though. There should be only one person that could have heard that phone call. Meaning, it seems the person we're actually playing as is... Mike! The same Mike we've been playing as in the past 3 games as well, connected all by all of these shared memories. But one problem, he'd be a kid in this game. And this is where I say, I'll get to that later, as we definitely don't have nearly enough information for you right now, so stay tuned. The last Easter egg I should mention, if the player walks back from the dining area where Fredbear and Spring Bonnie's shadows are to the front lobby of Fredbear's family diner, the backstage door will be open, and the purple guy will be seen helping an employee into a Spring Bonnie suit. The door is then quickly closed. This can only occur in the post-Night 2 minigame. Some other various things I should also bring up. During the post-Night 3 minigame, Cece is able to walk home from Fredbear's. There are various other people we can greet and talk to and see playing around. For example, this kid seems to be holding something resembling Plushtrap. And over here by the swings, we can spot a girl playing with minifigures of the toy animatronics. Though, this brings into question if the toys were existing at this point, or if the toy animatronics were based on this line of action figures. You see, another question that Scott himself had brought up to the community was as follows. In the FNaF 4 minigame, why would the tiny toy Chica be missing her beak? And my answer to that is that the toy animatronics themselves were based on this line of toys. Hence the name Toy, and hence why Chica would take after this figure. They based her on this figure which was able to take the beak off. It's simple and it makes sense. Maybe some things don't have to be so complicated. Like, you know, Dream Theory. That was a thing. Might as well bring this up before wrapping up everything too, but there was a Halloween edition soon after the game released, around Halloween, where Nightmare Mangle, the Jackotronics, Jacko Bonnie and Jacko Chica, Nightmare Balloon Boy, and Nightmarione were all added. I could have sworn at some point Scott had said something about the canonicity of these characters, but I can't seem to find it for the life of me. But knowing future games, I believe in the context of FNaF 4, none of these characters are canon. Nightmarione, at the very least, is canon outside of this update in other games. Now, finally, back to the base game, onto Night 7. This night introduces our final character and true final boss in FNaF 4, Nightmare. He's a black and gold version of Nightmare Fredbear, see-through, more of a shadowy look than all the others. He acts the same way as Fredbear, just more aggressive, and getting through this night leads you to the final mystery the game offers. A locked box. It doesn't open, flicking the locks does nothing, and at last gets you to these final words. Perhaps some things are best left forgotten, for now.
And you know what? Scott himself took that to heart, because in a recent interview, he basically admitted to forgetting what was inside it, too. So, he wasn't like...
As said before, this gave way to certain theories that were not nearly correct at all. Just want to bring up some of these theories to really put you back into that, you know, era of theorizing. The big one everybody seems to remember is dream theory. With all the different quotes, with all the different questions that Scott Cawthon himself had posed, hoping for an answer, it led them all to dream theory. Why was the toy Chica missing her beak? Well, because we dreamed it. What is mistaken in the eyes of a child? I don't know, but we dreamed it. 4 games, 1 story, 1 dream. It sounds crazy, yeah, and Scott likes to make fun of it. Actually, in fact, he made fun of it in the FNaF movie, so that's next level trolling. There are plenty more theories on what could be in the box. There is one in particular that I find the most correct and possible, but I regret to tell you that I'll be ending the video here. I didn't expect it to be this lengthy, but I decided now that I'll be splitting this video into 3 separate parts. Firstly, the video you're watching now, the first 4 games. The second video will be Sister Location, FNaF World, The Silver Eyes, Pizza Simulator, UCN, Fazbear Frights, and the Security Logbook. The third video, what I call the post-Afton era. Help Wanted, Security Breach, Ruin, Help Wanted 2, and Tales. Ending it off with the final timeline. You can think of these as a bit of a recap, and at the same time adding new elements and ideas to the lore that will all make sense in the end and final timeline. Which, the hard part is explaining it right until then, of course. I do have to say, I'm very confident in the final timeline and where everything stands. Once all the videos are out and finished, I plan on making one big comprehensive video, including all 3 videos compiled into one big video. But for now, thank you all for listening to all of this. I'm really excited to get to work on the next part. Like and subscribe. I've never made any videos this long, so I hope for some love. See all you guys next time. Bye-bye.